Hi guys, welcome back. I'm here with James Graham of DCUK to talk all things DC United. Hi James, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Thank you for having me on, Tom.
Well, absolute pleasure. No, it's been a little while lining you up, and so I've been excited to talk DC. We've had a few comments from people saying, "Do DC? Talk to someone about DC." It's been a popular suggestion for us.
Oh, no, that's good. I'm guessing that's probably because of the Wayne Rooney link.
I think maybe so. Yeah, maybe the click link as well.
Yeah. Yes,
Leeds fans in the
indeed.
UK. That's very exciting. We'll get onto that in a minute. But give us your origin story. How did you start out as a DC fan?
So it's kind of a two-parter. So the initial was back in 1996. So when the club formed, the team I follow over here in the UK is Middlesbrough, and we sold Jaime Moreno over to DC United. So I was only 8 years old at the time, and my initial thoughts were, "Oh, Americans play football. That's cool." And that was it. That was it. But we had him back on loan from DC, and it just kind of, I knew about them and I knew of them, but I didn't really follow up on that. Then it was a case of Freddy Adu. He came about 2004, Football Manager, the game we all know and love. And I started managing DC United on that. And I was at college, and I used to, during my downtime when I was not in lessons or anything, spend the time looking at clips and things like that online. So I kind of followed that, and it just grew from there, really. And then there was the Sky TV deal, and that really pushed things forward. So I think it was 2015 when that came around, off the top of my head. So I think it was when Orlando, New York City came into the fold.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That was when the Sky TV deal landed. So I used to watch them all the time. Then Rooney came along, and things just kind of really kicked off from there. Because just a little fact that I always like to mention about Rooney and the DC factor and the link to here, with the 2019 season broadcast legally in the UK. Well, I have to use the term legally. 32 of the 34 regular season matches were broadcast for DC United in the UK.
Wow.
It was
That's incredible.
Yeah, so whether it was on Free Sports, Premier Sports, or on Sky, it just every week just felt like, yeah, we're going to get a game. It was awesome.
That's fantastic for a fan over here. Well, as I say, it wasn't that long ago, 8 years ago. You wouldn't have thought that the coverage would be that ubiquitous. No. But is it because, do you think they identified there was a fan base over here, or is it just a coincidence that worked out for you?
I think it's a bit of both, really. Luck. Absolutely luck, but the fact that there is a growing fan base here in the UK, and when you've got the likes of David Beckham playing over at Galaxy, Steven Gerrard, Robbie Keane, all LA Galaxy players. Don't know why that was the thing, but obviously then Zlatan, again another Galaxy player.
Yeah.
Ashley Cole, another Galaxy player. Why am I thinking
of Galaxy
my last
video? Because my last one was on the Galaxy.
But obviously we've had Wayne Rooney, and then you've got the likes. Zlatan, I mentioned Zlatan, but there was a few obviously players who played over here, moved over there, and I think now the fact it's starting to flip as well means that the coverage and the popularity is growing. So Mickey Almiron, big example.
Not to mention him, classic example. Yeah.
Unfortunately, he plays for the right. Yeah. Obviously we've also got then Matthew Hopp as well at the Borough, who's recently gone on loan to Hibernian, I want to say, off the top of my head. But he's an American player, so it's just kind of things that seem to be going the other way around. So
absolutely,
it's right. I love it.
It sings to the quality of MLS. I think it's really gone up to that other echelon. So the player trade is going to become more and more frequent.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a couple of other. I mean, obviously Giovinco as well. That was a bit of a shock when he signed for Toronto. Insigne
was a big one. Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to watch him this season.
I mean, as long as he doesn't do well against us, then I'm happy. I was just glad I went over to DC last year and watched them play Toronto. But it was the last game before Insigne actually signed, so we were like,
right.
we get to avoid them. That was our second game that we needed to play Toronto, and that was it. It was like, yes, we missed him. We don't have to worry about that.
Because I think he only played about a dozen games, but his record in those games was, I think, it was better than 1 in 2. I think he's really making a difference there. Well, there's 2 Italians over there, obviously. So it could be a real difference maker this season.
Definitely. That's like I said, as long as they don't do it against us, I don't care.
Good stuff. So let's talk about the legends of your club. So obviously you've been following them since you were 8 years old. So that's some time now. But I think there must have been some favourite players over the years. Who stands out for you?
I mean, obviously Jaime Moreno, one of the biggest legends of MLS. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he's such a nice guy as well. Other ones that stand out, and this is kind of an early one, and I don't think he gets enough recognition for his play. It was Santino Quaranta.
Right.
I just loved his name. I mean, that was the first thing that his name just sounded great. And then when he came to Football Manager and Championship Manager and all that, it was just like, yeah, I enjoyed using him. He was a really good player. And then obviously you've got the others like Ben Olsen, who were been with the club for an amazing amount of years up until very recently. Had him on my podcast, which was phenomenal.
Oh wow, fantastic.
Yeah. He was the first live show I did.
Gosh.
So I'd never done a live show, and I thought, did video interviews and things like that, but I was like, come on, let's starting to get to live stream, let's do it, let's go into that. And I asked the club whether I could have Ben Olsen on, and like, yeah, absolutely, not a problem. We just sat down and had a chat for about an hour and a half, couple of hours, and it was brilliant. We chatted about obviously his time at DC, being a player and then a coach, and then when he came over to England and played for Notts Forest, and now he broke his ankle. But yeah, it was, and now he had his dad come over for a game over Christmas time, and it was the Boxing Day match.
Yeah,
and he just remembers that his dad was really proud and was telling everyone that's his son playing, and then Ben Olsen scores an own goal.
No, not that guy. What were the other ones?
Yeah, the one who put it in that net. That was brilliant.
He played 10 seasons for you and managed another 10. Was that right?
That sounds about right. I can't. So he started coaching for us back in mid 2010.
Right.
And it was like an assistant coach for a month or two, I think it was, roughly.
Gotcha.
Then we got rid of our head coach, and then it was just like thrown in. That was it. And we had ups and downs through the years. They won the 2013 US Open Cup, but then also finished with the worst record in MLS. So, known to us DC fans as one of the worst season we've ever had. Even though we won the US Open Cup, it really didn't detract from the fact that the league record was so poor.
Wow!
But then we won the Support Shield the following year.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about MLS is the fact that you can have a really bad season, and then the following season you can have a great season. And there's just no. I would like to have that continuity of that greatness, like you do in most of the leagues, but the fact that it's so random, it's just so much more fun.
Absolutely. I love the unpredictability. I mean, no one knows who's going to do well this season. Obviously, you've got the last year's MLS finalists. You think, okay, they're probably going to go okay. Yeah. But some of them, they have lost players. There's other teams that have strengthened significantly. So you just don't know, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you look at, I think it was one year where last time Columbus Crew won it. Then the following year they didn't make the playoffs. It's like
same.
What? How does this work? So, but yeah, that's say it's the great thing about MLS is just the fact that he's so unpredictable. So
yeah. So what about currently? Who are the key players currently? Who are your DPs?
So we've got Click. There's one. He's obviously our new guy. I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Oh, yeah. Really looking forward to seeing that.
He's so good.
Yes, he's coming towards the tail end of his career, but
But he was still doing it. I mean, literally just months ago, he was playing for Leeds in the Premier League and not looking out of place at all. I mean, I'm a Leeds fan, so I've watched him a lot over the years, intently. And he's brilliant. Number 8, box to box, can change a game. We had a game against, I think it was Wolves earlier on in the season, and we were struggling. He came on, changed the game completely. Yeah. So it's really sad to see him go. He was part of our championship winning side as well. He came up under Bielsa, and he's been brilliant. And you're going to love him as just a character as well. He's very funny and likes to wind people up a lot. So the crowd get behind him really a lot. The home team there anyway.
Yeah. Is it Clickhousery? Is it
Clickhousery? Yes. I didn't think you'd understand, but you do know. Do you know the song yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, you got to learn this song. All the DC fans out there, got to learn this song. It's 20 yards or 30 yards everywhere we go. 40 yards or 50 yards. Click is scoring goals. Click is scoring goals. Because he says long range screamers.
Nice.
So this is brilliant.
It's been a while since we've had someone who could do proper long range screamers. I do love one. Love those. Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. When we signed him and it was announced, and I was looking through all the social media comments about him, there was not a single bad word said about him. No,
there's a huge amount of love for him. Absolutely, yeah. He's a fantastic player and just a lovely guy as well. I know people who know him, personally as well. He's a very, very sweet guy as well. So, I think he'll fit in really nicely there.
Yeah. Then we've got Benteke.
Of course, yes.
Yes, big man up front. Didn't have the best of starts last season, but he came through midway through the season.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do that. And actually find your feet and get running with it. But, he's had a decent preseason so far. He's got a couple of goals, which is what he needs just to get that confidence going. And if you can get anywhere near to what he was like when he was at Villa, we're on to a winner. But it's been quite a while since he's done that, obviously, with his Liverpool days where it wasn't particularly great, and then his Palace days, which hit and miss.
Hit and miss, exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. I think it really sums it up, yeah.
So it'll be interesting. We've got a few good youngsters coming through as well. Ted Di Pietro, who has been assisting him in these preseason games as well. So he's been doing really well.
Okay, good stuff.
So that's going to be good. And then our other DP, which there's rumours that we'll be buying down his contract to a TAM level. Don't even get me started on these acronyms because we haven't got enough time for that. Is Victor Paulsen. So we signed him last summer as a DP with the view of him moving down to a TAM level for this year, but I've not seen anything confirmed about that. But he's your hard man. Is probably the best way I can say. Icelandic hard man in the middle of the field. He seemed really good when he was playing for us last year. Knows how to put a tackle in. He's not afraid to do what needs to be done. He likes doing the dirty work. So, happy to have him on board. But then we have all these youngsters that are coming through. Like I said, I use his acronym TKD, Ted, Jackson Hopkins, Christian Fletcher.
Hopkins was one I was going to mention. He looks a real talent, doesn't he?
Yeah. We when we lost Gressel at the start of last year, that was a big hole to fill, big shoes to really get yourself into, and he did rather well. There was times when I think he was just starting to burn out because that was his first year in pro soccer.
Young lad,
and he did what he needed to do, and he's got a great cross on him, and that's what Gressel had. It was a great cross. With Benteke there, hopefully we'll have a man who can put those efforts away, and Taxi Funtas as well. Can't forget about him.
Of course, yeah.
There was that controversy with him. I will address the elephant in the room about some language that he apparently used, but there was nothing clear about it. So it's not a case of forgetting about it, but he wasn't proven guilty or anything. So we kind of let it be for a bit.
Is it lost in translation sort of thing, or was it
not? It's difficult to say because Taxi is very adamant that he didn't say what he's accused of saying. Nobody's obviously come out and said what he apparently said. But I think he's Greek and he's got a very heavy Greek accent, so that might have caused a bit of an issue. And you're right, it might have been lost in translation where he might have said something which means completely something else in his language. And it's just, could have been one of those things, but I don't think that's something we'll ever know.
Yeah, this is the unfortunate thing, isn't it? It is very hard to settle these sort of things.
Yeah, but he's a great player. He had a great season for us. Very happy that we managed to bring him in earlier because we were supposed to sign him in the summer at the end of his contract, but we bought him out early. and he had some great games for us and scored some great goals. I think it was Orlando scored hat-trick in 15 minutes.
Wow, that's serious. Yeah.
We like playing Orlando.
Yeah. Is that one of the things that often happens the same way then?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to when Rooney was playing for us. So there was that play, the tackle, the long ball up front.
Yeah.
And he scored from a free kick from basically the corner flag at Orlando, and then the return fixture in that same season, he scored from the half, well, in our own half.
Not bad, is it? Yeah.
It's usually an entertaining game between us and Orlando. Whether there's another game where Orlando scored in like the 95th minute for the winner. So it goes both ways, but yeah, it's always a great game. It's always a good watch, that one.
Are they rivals? Obviously, they're not distance wise, but they're not particular. It just happens to be that they're a team you like to play.
Yeah, it is just one of those things. It's always a fixture I tend to look out for when the games are released. So yeah, we always enjoy that because there's always something big going to happen in those games. So,
yeah,
obviously
who are the big rivals then?
Red Bulls.
Red Bulls, right?
So they're our traditional rivals.
Yeah,
shall we say? Going back from the start of MLS, it was always, back in those days, it was the Metro Stars.
Yes, right, yeah.
And we always take the mick out of them because they are based in New Jersey, not in New York.
Yes, so we heard that from the NYC, NYC guys. Yeah.
Yes,
that was the Atlantic Cup, was it? Is that right?
Match? The Atlantic Cup. That's right. Yeah, always a good fixture. We always tend to have a bit of a heated game in that one. It's kind of lost it a little bit more recently because of the fact that NYCFC are now in the league. So because they are neighbours, so it tends to be that, and the rivalry from the league gets pushed to Philly Union, which, to be fair, is a difficult one for us. We struggle against them, so it's not one of those ones where we tend to do well. So we don't really like to talk about that one.
And they are a fantastic team, as we saw last season.
Insane. We want to follow their model of how they bring in their youngsters, because you look at the Aronson brothers.
Yeah, fantastic.
Look how well they've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got a good model.
You don't need the draft if you've got that sort of youth academy coming through, do you?
Well, yeah, that's it. So we're looking at hopefully getting an academy team from Baltimore.
Oh, great.
That's been rumoured because we've just recently sold off Loudoun United, which was our affiliate team in USL. So I don't know how that's going to play out, because normally players just instantly transfer between the two because they're technically owned by the same people, so they can just freely move. Yeah. Now that's been sold off, I really don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry. Hopefully this Baltimore team can take the place and start that sort of production line again on that sort of thing. Because I assume you'll be fielding a team in MLS too.
No.
Oh, gosh, right, okay.
No, that's it. That's what this Baltimore team that's been rumoured is supposed to be.
Okay, sorry, right, I understand now. Yeah, yeah.
Loudoun United are just sticking to USL.
Gosh, right, okay.
Yeah, I really wanted to have an MLS2 team because it's obviously going to be the breeding ground for all these youngsters to come through.
Absolutely, yeah.
USL quality is just not quite there. There's sometimes you get some decent players come through, but yeah, it's just not a good place for youngsters to really learn their trade.
So what does the first team need? What sort of positions are you looking to fill? Where do you think needs improvement?
Defense. Absolutely. It's more depth in defense. Because we had a bit of a struggle last year. We ended up playing Andy Nahar, who's traditionally a right winger, at centre back. And he's like 5'9". So
it's okay. Yeah, they're not winning many defensive headers.
No, but to be fair to him, when he was playing at centre back, especially under Lasada, when we had him as coach, he was like a wide centre back, and he would just bomb forward, and nobody knew what to do with him. So he just had all the space and just went up, down, danced around people, and had some good play. But defensive depth. We've signed Ruan from Orlando. We've signed Derek Williams from Galaxy. He used to play for Blackburn Rovers.
Right.
But we could do with probably another player, I want to say. But other than that, we always want that big marquee forward, don't we?
Yeah.
There's someone
Absolutely,
who's always in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
I mean, yes,
How
we've
old
got
is
Ben.
Benteke now? Is he going to be?
I
Will
think
he
he's,
be having to
I think
replace
he's
him?
30. I want to say he's 32.
Is he? Right. Okay.
I think. I'm just going to have a quick.
Feels like he's been around a long time. So you always presume these guys are older than they actually are. If they've been around.
He is only 32.
Fantastic. Good knowledge.
Yeah. So we've got Taxi Fantastic, who's a bit of a live wire up top, and Benteke, who's more, I would say, more of a poacher, target man kind of player. But there's not really much else, unless Wayne Rooney lets us up and decides to put himself up there.
You never know. He may come. He doesn't look in the best shape I've ever seen him. But
I'm glad you said that.
As far as I know, he's not a fan. I haven't seen him on the subscriber list. So
no, I'm working on it. I'm working on getting there. I want to get an interview with him at some point this year.
That would be awesome.
I've had the last 2 head coaches on, so why not make it 3 for 3?
Have you had the last 2 head coaches on?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, Ben Olsen, but I had Lasada on as well. Whilst he was still in quarantine, flying over from Belgium to the States. So he was there in his hotel room, and we were having a good chat. And at the time, it was a really good interview. It was very revealing about how his personality is, what he's like as a person, what his philosophy was about the game and how he would play, and who his inspirations were. So it was a really, really good interview to have.
Fascinating, yeah.
So,
we'll do this at the end as we always do. But where can people find that if they want to look that one up specifically?
So it's on YouTube, on my channel, which youtube.com at DC United Kingdom.
The link will be below.
Yep. And I've got a playlist specifically for interviews that I've done. So season 3, episode 2, I think it is, if you're looking through the season list. Just after I had Bill Hamid on as well, which was awesome.
Fantastic. These are huge names. I'm so impressed by the caliber of guests you're getting on. That's amazing.
Honestly, the club, I've got nothing but respect for the team there, especially in the back office. They are absolute legends, and they've been so welcoming of what I do.
Yeah.
That's because all I want to do is just bring more fans from around the world, not just from America, not just from the UK, but from anywhere that the game is shown. So and they just want to help out with that.
And so that's so good. So good to hear that they are good people behind there who want to grow that as well, because it is in their interest, I guess, isn't it? That's brilliant that they're not thinking that they are sort of too far beyond talking to people like us. I mean, you're a lot more established than I am, but I hope one day to be in a position where I I am talking to clubs. But talking about your audience, where do your audience tend to be? Are they US, UK, splits? Is it what else in the world?
So majority is US based, which is kind of no surprise really. Yeah. And then it comes to the UK. I've got just trying to think off the top of my head. Myanmar, weirdly.
Wow, wasn't expecting that one to come out.
There's a few surprises in my list. Then we've got Belgium.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
That's because of the connections, like Andy Nahar. Lasada, Benteke. Then Australia.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Good.
We made it down under. Then we've had listeners from South America, so Argentina and Brazil in particular. Again, the Brazil, I'm not so sure why, but the Argentina because of Lasada and Lucho Acosta, and then Central America as well. So pretty much global. It's bizarre when I look at the list of where people are either listening or watching from. It baffles me, and I get these emails come through saying, this is how your podcast is ranking in these countries. Yeah. And recently, I was 69th in Australia for soccer podcasts.
That's insane.
Like,
not just Australian podcasts, is there? That's all the podcasts globally in the football section in Australia. So that's mad. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And it was at the time when I hadn't even released an episode for about 3 months. So I don't know what the heck happened, but suddenly it just went, you know what? We'll give this guy a listen. And I'm thankful for that. That's brilliant.
Well, yeah, and obviously quite a few of them as well.
Yeah. I've been in the top rankings for Sweden.
That's so bizarre. I mean, but it does make sense, doesn't it? Because they are, again, massive football nations.
Yeah. I think the closest to the top I've been, I think I was 23rd in the US soccer podcasts at one point, which I was like, can't believe that.
Yeah,
that was just phenomenal. So
you're going up against extra time and all the big guys in there,
all the big names, and then there's little old me. And doing this now I'm doing it from my converted garage, but in the living room, just talking about absolute nonsense about a team in America. And there's people listening out there. I'm just like, I still think back to the early days. I'm like, why did people actually want to listen to a guy who's got the most monotone voice, which that's not so bad, about talking about this team in America, which he has really no right to go and support, because why would you? And it's brilliant. I love it.
I think it is. There's definitely something to do with the audience. I like your accent, by the way, but definitely with the audience, what I've found through this channel is that people are very accepting of this. I was expecting people to come on and go, "Who is this slimy chancer who wants to talk about sport in our country from over there when he knows nothing?" What I think, but everyone's been absolutely lovely and supportive and warm and because I think I'd like to think I'm trying to take people on a journey with me. People who are already fans can watch and get something out of it, but people who are maybe a bit more naive, like me, about MLS, can actually get on with it as well, and it's not too confusing and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So what is your take on MLS then? What's driven you to do this and actually have an interest in the league?
I mean, it's always been something on the fringes of my sort of imagination, and always enjoyed the different teams and different team names, and then hearing all the superstars going over, and you go, "Oh, that's it! Oh, Portland Timbers, they sound exciting," and then Houston Dynamo, who are they? And there's always been a little thing there. And I thought I was doing a drawing channel for a long time, that started in lockdown, and I thought actually I'm not getting a huge amount out of that. But I've always wanted to really get into this thing that I keep hearing a little bit about and looking into. So I thought, right, I'll just do a journey on this. So I can draw with it and I can get myself educated about something that I really like, just as a kind of experiment. And within a couple of weeks, I was utterly in love with it. I was like, this is one of the best leagues I've ever seen. I mean, literally watching the quality of the football, which is much higher than I thought. The players, and I knew a lot more than I thought. And had heard of a lot more of the players and managers. I was like, oh my God, it's him, it's Higuain, it's Gary, so it's Phil Neville, it's all these sort of guys. With the first match I watched, which you may pick up there, was Inter Miami. But it's absolutely fascinating. And like you said before, the competition levels where it's there's no dominant team, there's no teams that are dead last every single time. It flips around all the time. There's a lot of drama in it as well. I mean, like the last interview we did was the controversy with the LA Galaxy cheating scandals.
Yes.
And there's all sorts of news, and I always say football's like a soap opera anyway. It's like an ongoing series that you watch and for the drama. So I think it's got a lot of those elements as well. So I think it just does the entertainment business really well. I mean, the US sports do entertainment well. Putting that onto a sport like football in America, like soccer in America, just works, and I think that's absolutely fascinating. I think it's going to grow massively. I've said it before on the channel that there are people all over the UK who are getting disillusioned with everything being run by money. We've obviously got the Man City scandal going on at the moment with all the charges put against them. We know the predictability of the top four or top six, and people are starting to get a bit tired, I think, of money ruling everything.
Yeah,
and I think MLS is the complete antidote to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things in there which there is a little bit of greed, because to get into the league, I think the next team are going to have to pay like $300 million just to get into the team, into the league. You're not even doing anything. You want to build a stadium? Yeah, that's not part of that pot. You've got to spend more money on that, which I think for me has driven to the stadiums are good, but they're not quite great. Audi Field, I love it because there's no bad seat in the house. It does deliver some really good atmosphere, but it's lacking a roof all the way around. Great. Which, when it rains over there. And when it's hot and you've got the sun beating down, you want a bit of shade to get away from it. So but that has been addressed. That it's starting to get addressed. There is some extra roof being put up
Yeah.
on the stand that already has part.
And that gives it more character as well. I mean, if you say to people, real football fans who go around the country, what's been your favourite stadium to go to? They very rarely say the Etihad or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the ones that are state of the art and beautiful and comfortable. They want the character ones with the wooden seats and the
Loftus Road.
Yes, exactly.
The Loftus Roads, the Selhurst Parks, the old stadiums.
Yeah.
Even to a point, Old Trafford.
Very old now, yeah.
Yeah, that is very old and very rusty.
Yeah.
Apparently. And yeah, I always remember one of the first away stadiums I went to was Anfield.
Right.
So back in when Middlesbrough got promoted to the Premier League for the 95-96 season, I was able to. My mum and dad took me to Anfield, and I just remember I was at this little lad, and unfortunately there was a guy who sat in front of me who was not the slimmest of people. Took a couple of seats so I could actually watch the game. But I always remember looking up and just seeing the roof, and it was rusty as hell.
Yeah.
But it was such a good day. Such a good day.
It adds to it, doesn't it? Yeah.
It just, if you go to a clean stadium, like the Etihad or the new Wembley, you don't really remember too much about it. You don't remember those little nuances about it.
No.
But when you look at Anfield or Goodison Park, which is no wood you add in the away section, wooden seats.
Yes.
I remember coming out of that with a very numb bottom, shall we say.
It's literally wood. I mean, it's you think this is maybe a non-league thing, is it?
Yeah.
Sixth or seventh tier, but no.
And at the back of the stand, it's bricks.
Yeah,
it's just like, hang on, what have I got into here? So yeah, those kind of stadiums are much better. But I think I've gone off on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, the money that goes into buying your team in the league then means you've got to spend even more money, which means you're going to have really rich owners to be able to do that. So this quality of stadiums, they're quite cut and paste a little bit a lot of the time. Some of them are pretty good. I think the ones that remind me of cut and paste is things like Columbus Crew's new stadium, along with Austin FC's. They look very similar to me.
Do they? Okay.
Apart from the colour.
Right.
Yeah, Austin's
that makes sense.
Columbus, but the styling is very similar at the moment. And when that's just down, they've got the same design of him to do most of the stadiums. It could be that. But St. Louis City's looks like it's going to be a nice little stadium as well. But then you've got FC Cincinnati, who reminds you of, well, it's sponsored by Allianz, and it looks like the Allianz. Well, actually, no, it's TQL Stadium now. But it looks like the Allianz because of the colours and the way it's... Oh, that's actually one of the nicest stadiums, along with Atlanta United.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, it's one of the biggest, isn't it? It's got 40,000 on it in there.
It's just... And that rotating roof. Quality. That's quality.
I'm going to have to do a video on stadiums, I think.
I think you do. You definitely need to, because there are some quality stadiums out there. I said the Audi Field is a great stadium to go to. I've been there 3 times now. Twice in the supporters section, once just in the opposite end, and both times really good views. You can walk around the entire stadium. You're not segregated into your own little section. Love that. So
fantastic.
Yeah, except for the cost of beer.
Yes, that's always going to be a drawback, unfortunately, isn't it? Well, so talking of the sorry, I mean to cut you off. I was going to just quickly jump onto supporters, because you mentioned it in the supporters section there. Do you have different supporters groups?
Yes.
For DC? Yeah.
So there's two main ones now. You've got District Ultras and you've got Screaming Eagles. They're the 2 biggest. They've been around the longest, but more recently there's been quite a few new ones popping up for different reasons. So we've got 202 Unique, who are all big about the LGBTQ plus community.
Right. Okay.
But they welcome anyone. And that's always been a thing about DC United. Everyone's welcome, no matter where you're from, who you are, what your background is. And then we've got Rose Room Collective, and that's a supporters group for people of colour. Right, I gotcha. But again, accept allies and things like that. So it's great. It's nice that we've got these little sort of groups within there, representing all different parts of the community as well. You got La Banda del Distrito, who do the drums. Good. They make the noise. So they're really, really good as well. So There used to be a group called the Barra Brava, who, when you look at the history of DC United, you'll see their name mentioned a heck of a lot. But they disbanded due to ownership issues, on which I won't go into detail because that's not for me to talk about. Yeah, when you look at the likes of Bill Hamid, who grew up watching DC United before going on to play for them, he was a member of the Barra Brava.
Right.
So, there's a lot of history there behind them, which is a shame that they disbanded, but a lot of those members ended up going into either the District Ultras or Screaming Eagles. So,
gotcha. Okay, so they're still around. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
the fans are still there. It's just who they represent, which I feel is still a bit strange that there have to be so many supporters groups. I would love it if it was just one.
Yeah,
but it is what it is, and everyone's represented, which is always a good thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there is something nice about having a different identity, all behind the same goal, but it's a metaphorical goal. But you can actually say, no, I'm a bit more of a Screaming Eagle. Actually, that's a bit more me. That sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's quite nice.
And for me, if I was to identify with any of them, for me, it's the Screaming Eagles, because they're quite a family-friendly supporters group, and they've got a great tailgate that you can go to before the games, which last year I did a live podcast from, which was amazing. That was superb. I ended up having one of the play-by-play commentators.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So we had the main guy, Dave Johnson, who came down before we went live, just to say hello, because we were set. I was coming over, so obviously making the trip thousands of miles. So he wanted to come and say hello. That was awesome.
Good of him. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And then his co-commentator, Devon McTavish, who used to play for DC United, we were actually on air, and the door opens, and I just look up, and then I see him, I'm like, huh? What? It's Devon McTavish? And then it's like, come on down. So he sat down and joined the show.
Fantastic.
So we had him on for 10-15 minutes, just chatting some good stuff with a great backdrop. We had the river behind us with a new bridge. It was just such a good day. That was so awesome.
Fantastic. Well, that's magical. That's that you couldn't have planned that better, and it was not planned at all. That's amazing.
It was awesome. It just took me by surprise, and I was like, okay, he's here. He's coming on the show. Let's get him sat down. Fantastic. And let's just have a good chat with him. So yeah, that was a really good day. Very thankful that they came down and actually gave their time to speak to us. So
that's absolutely lovely. Yeah, that's really nice. It just goes with the ethos of the club. What it sounds like, actually, really good people behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just everyone's got time for everyone. Again, when I went out there last year, I ended up doing interviews with a couple of the staff members. So I had the director of scouting.
Oh, cool. That's interesting. Yeah.
Really good guy. He's from Bournemouth.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. A chap called Sean Howe. Not related to Eddie. I did ask him that.
Oh, yeah, that'll make sense.
But he was really good. He gave us a little bit of insight as to what the process is behind scouting and what they do as a club to identify players. And what type of players that they try to go for. It's not just about the skill; it's about their personality as well, and whether they'll actually fit in the locker room. Because if you've got this world-class player, but he's going to be disruptive, like some players have done when they've moved to Saudi Arabia.
I don't know who you could possibly.
No, I don't know. So it's not always about the skill level; it's how they're going to fit within the team.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I had him on. I had a good friend on who was the first person who I had on from the club, a guy called Rory Mieda, who, when I first started doing this, he was the care manager for Wayne Rooney. So he looked after all his behind-the-scenes stuff, and now he's team administrator, so it's just nice to actually catch up with him in person for the first time. That was awesome. And then on that same day, I interviewed one of the players. So I actually managed to meet one of the players face-to-face, and that was awesome. That's
awesome. Well, an absolute dream come true. So tell me, I've seen this cherry blossom on a few different things, the kit and some of the merch. I can see it there behind you. This is what reminded me of it. What's the significance of the cherry blossom?
It's massive at DC. So when it comes to sort of mid to late March, beginning of April. The cherry blossom trees blossom, and the city looks beautiful. When I was there in 2019 for my birthday, it was that time of year, so we got to see it in full bloom, and it looked beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But the cherry blossom tree was actually donated to them from the Japanese president many years ago, which is how it made its way to the United States. And it's just kind of synonymous with DC. And so you got the Wizards, the Mystics, the Capitals, all the teams have had their version of the cherry blossom until we've not had it. But from the leaks, we're getting it this year.
Not sure on it yet. It's quite subtle on the kit. I mean, obviously it's a big design, but it's quite sort of muted from what I've seen. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the collar and the sleeves, they've got a bit more bolder pink.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does look very subtle. But saying that, the marble jersey that we had before, which was representative of the National Hall with all the monuments and things.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the marble effect on those.
Yeah. But again, that was very subtle. And when I got mine initially, I was like, okay, it's not too bad. But then it grew on me. I think that's what's going to happen here is I like it, but then it'll grow me on more. And
you'll attach memories to it, won't you? Certain players, it will certainly become representative of, won't it? So yeah.
And I like the black with the pink as well. I think that looks actually really nice. It's good contrast and tones.
Yeah, you should see Inter Miami. They're pretty into that.
Yeah, their pink is not great. I mean, their first season shirts where they look like satin. I was like,
yeah, they're really shiny.
And they're in Miami, which is, well, I say Miami, Fort Lauderdale, which is a sweat box, and you're wearing satin. Oh, they looked horrendous. Not that I'm bitter about them having pink shirts and we didn't, but yeah, we're getting ours this year. I'm really looking forward to it. Just not the price.
Yeah, that's the problem. I suppose, being over here, especially when you've got to pay shipping on those things as well. It's
so that shirt, which is the current home shirt, as you can see, it's got my podcast name and the year that I started doing it.
Perfect. Yeah,
which is why it's 19. I was struggling to think of a number. I was like, let's just go with the year I started doing the podcast. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, £200.
Wow.
It's a proper shirt.
So you have the authentic shirt, and then you've got obviously the printing, the shipping.
Yeah,
it's going to add up, right?
That's a proper one. So it's got all the things like the stars on above the shirt.
Yeah, that's the 4 MLS Cups. Is that right? So that's the stars.
Four MLS Cups. Yeah, not quite the most, but the second most.
Yes, yeah. And my last interview was the most. This is the second.
Yeah. One of only 3 teams to have won it twice back to back.
Really?
Yeah, there's only been 3 teams who've won it back to back.
This shows how competitive it is. It's great. Yeah.
Us, Galaxy, and San Jose, I think, is the other one off the top of my head.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Good stuff.
But no, I love getting the proper shirts.
You got to get this proper. Yeah, this is the thing. And the special edition stuff as well. I can't resist. Often when I'm looking at these sort of sites, and I've had things
the
like
training tops.
This is it. Yeah, they're even more exciting. I bought the special edition. I got an the Las Vegas Lights shirt. I did one for organ donation. The same sort of neon stuff on, but I absolutely love it. Such a special piece. But I love shirts anyway. But those sort of special ones. But like you said, training tops as well. I believe I generally will buy a training top rather than a shirt, to be honest.
I mean, they do generally cost a lot less.
Yes, that's that as well.
It's just, I mean, 200 people always get gobsmacked when I spend that much on a football shirt, but it's just like, I like it, I wear it, and, I get the enjoyment out of it because it looks good as well.
And you've got to have it because it's your brand, it's your business, isn't it? And so it's tax deductible as well. So
with that one or that one? Because
oh wow!
So this one, the other cherry blossom shirt that we got on the wall there is dedicated to the play-by-play commentator Dave Johnson.
Oh, fantastic! What a nice thing, yeah.
That was to raise money for the MS Society because he suffers with MS, so he does a lot of charity and fundraising. So I ended up getting that one just to help the cause with it.
Brilliant.
And the phrase that's on there, it's in the net, is phrase that he says whenever DC United score.
Gotcha, right.
But it's just going to be a shame that he's not going to be there from now on because of the MLS Apple deal, which is a great deal, but we have lost some great people behind the scenes. So, yeah.
Yeah, is there any chance they join the team again now? Sorry, before you go on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him do the radio stuff because...
Yeah, because a few have joined more recently after the initial wave of them. There was a sort of second tranche, wasn't there? So maybe in the future could happen.
I mean, he's still with the club and he will do stuff for the club.
Yeah.
But whether it's play-by-play stuff, it remains to be seen. So
okay, yeah.
And to be fair, I know he's got MS, so his ability to go as he does a lot of stuff already. So to let him have a little bit of a break is going to be a nice thing because he spends a lot of time on social media, interacting with fans and replying, retweeting, just messaging people. Got all the time in the world to do that. Then he does play-by-play commentary for the Wizards. He does stuff on TV. He does stuff on radio. I just genuinely don't know when he sleeps. This is it.
Amazing. What a guy.
He is an amazing dude. So, yeah. Like I said, I've got all the time for the world and I was being really pleased that I've been able to help support MS Society. So,
wonderful.
Yeah. And then this one, which is my take on the 1997 third kit.
Oh, wow, that's one of yours. Of course, I can see by the badge, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got, it's known as the Cat in the Hat jersey.
Yes, I can see. Yeah, okay, yeah.
But it's quite difficult to actually obtain. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to design my own and get one made. So, which it is available to buy.
Is that a UK thing?
No, that's just so that shirt is a DC United inspired one. But yeah, anyone can buy that now from DCUK store.
Good stuff. I'll put that in the notes as well.
As a plug. But yeah, it's it. I've got a few sort of shirts that I've designed on there because I've done a couple over the years, which have really been well received. So I did a cherry blossom last year, which a lot of people ended up buying. There was a blue and pink one, a white and pink one, and a black and pink one. And there's a couple of others. So yeah, I love that one. Really nice. I've got a black and grey one coming as well. So eventually I will have shirts just gone all along the wall. I've got a couple of other scarves to put on there, but I've got other things to put up as well. So, you know, it's my new garage. I only moved in last week.
You don't want to ruin it just straight away. I mean, ruin the walls. I mean, not your things, but
no.
You know, because you've just done those walls. They're perfect.
I need to settle in and find my feet in here, and you know, I will eventually get everything that I need up on there.
Is this your space now? Is that designated to DC? Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So this is where I work from. This is where I do my podcast from. I've got an Xbox in here as well.
Very good. I think that's essential.
Yeah. I just need a fridge.
Fantastic. Just I want to leave you on leave everybody on the note of this coming season, because at time of recording we are February. The season is just weeks away.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? What's the prospects for DC this season?
I have no idea.
And that's it. Good night.
That's it. No, genuinely, it's a difficult one because we've signed 7 players and we've got rid of 13. So there's been a huge change in the squad. Yeah. But then there's been quite a few changes behind the scenes as well in terms of the backroom stuff. We've brought a couple of new coaches in. We've brought in a new fitness coach as well. So it feels like it's the start of a new era. And that's what it feels like it's building towards. So it'll be interesting. Shame that we didn't really sign a top class keeper. Not to say anything bad about Alex Bono or Tyler Miller, who we brought in, but they're not the same level as what Bill Hamid was or David Ochoa, who we recently had. So I think that's probably where we will also struggle this season. But as long as we keep a tight defense, which DC's relatively known for, prior to Hernan Losada, we should be all right. I want to say we'll make the playoffs. Every team has to have that ambition of making the playoffs.
Absolutely.
It's not about winning the Eastern Conference, really. It's getting into the playoffs and making that run. So I don't mind if we have a slow start as long as we build the form towards the end of the season. Because you can always have a great start, but if your form tails off towards the end of the season, you're going to get knocked out in the early stages of the playoffs. So, yeah, difficult. But the ambition there for me is to get into the playoffs. Be great if we got a home tie, but get into the playoffs and make it past the first round.
Yeah, no, that's a sound ambition. I think achievable, but also quite ambitious at the same time. I like it.
Yeah, compared to where we've been over the last couple of years, I think we need the ambition there, but we don't need to be unrealistic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is still a work in progress, isn't it? I mean, Rooney hasn't been at the helm that long.
6 months.
He's still imposing his ideas and shaping the team in what he wants his it to look like. So yeah,
it's 4-4-2.
Yes, it's it. Old school. This is great.
What I've always wanted is
big man, little man.
4 2. Mike Bassett, England manager. That's what I wanted for so long.
Fantastic. He's going to mould it to be a really old school British team.
Yes. English invasion is on.
Fantastic. Well, James, I just want to say thank you so much. All of the James's details will be down below for where you can find him. Where can other people find you online if they want to be experiencing the podcast or the YouTube stuff?
Yeah.
Give a bit of a shout out now. I will put all the details below, but give it a bit of a plug.
Yeah, absolutely. So the place that I'm most active is on Twitter. So that's at DC United Kingdom. Fairly straightforward. On YouTube as well, as I mentioned before, it's at youtube.com at DC United Kingdom. The podcast is available on anywhere where you can find the podcast. Just search it again, DC United Kingdom. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, you name it, it will be there. So I am on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm generally not as active on there. That's one of the big things I want to improve on this year, especially with Instagram, because it's a nice little platform with the reels and all that jazz. So Instagram's at DCUK FC. Because somebody took a DC United Kingdom. And they don't use it.
Well, that's the most annoying thing, isn't it?
Oh, they don't use it. I've reached out and there's just silence. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it's Instagram.com, DCUKFC.
Good stuff. Fantastic. Thank you ever so much for spending the time with me today. And I really do implore people to go and check out your work because it's fantastic. I think that's been shown today through our conversation. So thanks so much, James, and best of luck for the season.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.